Hello. So, this is something I've had floating around in my head for years, maybe even decades. I want a Lego motor with more power density to it, and if you've been watching the channel, you know I've had a couple of tries at that. My first try was with one of these high amperage motors here, and I put that in a Lego M motor. That worked really well. However, after that, I found this exact replacement for the original motor that's a brushless motor, and that works fantastically. But of course, it could be bigger. We could be using a Lego XL-Motor. And the hard part with that is finding a brushless motor that's an appropriate size to fit in there. And also, it needs to have a 2mm shaft for this gear. This gear is necessary to interface with the planetary gears in order to go in this Lego housing. And I can't find any that don't come out of an old XL motor. Fortunately, I have some old motors that don't work anymore. I've been doing this for quite a long time. And so I pulled that gear off of one of my old broken motors. And in order to do that, you have to heat up the whole thing, and that'll probably destroy the motor you're taking it off of. So you heat that up with a torch, and then the gear will expand a little bit, allowing it to come off of that shaft. You then have to heat it back up and put it on the new shaft. Now, this shaft turns out to be just tiny little bit smaller than the original one here. So the gear did not want to stay on there, but what I did was I took some flux paste that has solder in it, put it on the shaft, put a little bit in the hole of the gear, heated the whole thing up with a torch, and then put it on to the gear shaft, and it all fused together quite nicely, and now it's on there plenty good. Now, the other thing is that this motor isn't a direct replacement for the original Lego motor. I haven't been able to find a brushless motor that's this shape, so I had to adapt to this Lego motor, so I had to 3D print this part here, which allows it to fit snugly into the Lego housing, and also keeps the planetary gears from spinning. There's these two little holes right here, and these two pegs go in those holes, and that keeps that planetary gear from spinning. Then after that, the motor was a little bit wobbly in the case, so I printed this second ring here. There's got to be some space for airflow. This thing will get real hot. There's tons of power going through it. And then it all fit quite snugly into the Lego case, and I started using it. Here, I put it on a couple of cars. I've used it quite a bit now. Just want to test that it's not going to fall apart. And these planetary gears are really strong. They're doing just fine in there. And now some people are going to ask me they're going to say, hey, you should do this with a buggy motor. But these buggy motors actually aren't as strong. The planetary gears are really capable of taking an enormous amount of force. And these gears are all lined up. If you take this apart, you'll see that these gears are lined up in a row, and the gears themselves aren't quite as beefy, so I don't think this is going to take it. I guess, oh yeah, now I was going to give it some tests and figure out how much power it's able to put out, but the thing is that when I hooked it up to, I was going to do it like how I did it with this guy, where I use it as a generator, compare that to a regular Lego motor and see how much power they're putting out, that they're generating. But the thing is that when I hooked this up to another motor to use the second motor as a generator, the voltage coming out went right up into the 20s, and it's going to fry the motor. So this thing's putting out too much power for me to test. It's very likely like up at like 300 watts. Let's do a quick RPM test. So I realized I should get the specifications for the motors, and that way we can look at how much power they're consuming and get an idea of a comparison that way. The brushless motor, I'm running it at 8 volts, and it consumes 28 amps of power, current that is, so that's 220 watts approximately. And the Lego motor is using a maximum of 12 volts at 1.8 amps of current, and that would be 21.6 watts. Here it is being used. I tried it in a couple of different cars, and it's holding up just fine. Okay, well, thanks for watching.